Hey, cool kids. Just real quick before we start the episode, wanted to give you a quick warning. There was some audio issues at the very start of this episode, so you may hear some low volume at the very beginning. It doesn't last, so please stick with us for the rest of the episode. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Okay, now on with the show.
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the Cool Kids Lunch Table podcast with PJ and Mike. Now, please find yourself a seat at their table.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Cool Kids Lunch Table podcast with PJ and Mike. As always, I'm PJ.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are going to talk about our favorite metal bands and metal music in general. And when we put together these topics for our podcast, a lot of the time we might try and figure out who do we know that can add a lot to the conversation. So when we came up with an idea for a metal episode, because that's my favorite genre of music, I knew I had to bring in a friend of mine, Mr. Matt Viel. Now, Matt is a Long Island hardcore music photographer. He has an Instagram page for the Windows Down Photozine. All around good guy, someone I've worked with for a couple of years, and really is, in my opinion, one of the most well-versed metalheads on the island. So, welcome to the show, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
And this is going to be a tough one for Matt because it's the Cool Kids Lunch Table with PJ and Mike. Matt's been calling me Phil for the last how many years?
I've known you for
wow.
about 8 years now.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It's going to be a tough one.
You're Phil to me, so
Yeah.
I'm going to refer to you as Phil the whole time.
All right, I'll let it slide this time, but yeah. So we always start our episodes, Matt, with a childhood memory of how we got into the topic we're talking about.
Okay.
So what was it doesn't necessarily have to be a childhood memory, just what got you into metal music?
Yeah.
So probably the earliest memory that I have of hearing metal, and at the time I probably didn't know that it was metal, was probably, I'd say probably Metallica when Black Album came out, because that was 91, I think, right? So I was like 8 years old, and I heard Enter Sandman, and, you know, I didn't know genres of music. It was rock music, and it was rap music, whatever. So that was probably it. But then when I was like 12 or so was when like the first Korn album came out. So that was probably like the heaviest thing I had heard in my life at that point. It was on some, I heard Blind. It was on some X Games compilation or something like that. And I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. And now since then, you know, I've heard like Napalm Death and shit like that. But can I curse?
You can curse. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I would say probably, you know, being 8, 9, 10, 11 was like the first time I heard metal, and then it just kind of, I got into punk and hardcore and stuff like that from there, and yeah, I guess that's kind of where it all started for me.
Yeah, similar for me. Definitely Metallica was my first like introduction into the metal music. Probably the same album. So that's in the same bands, you know, you watch the very limited amount of metal they would play on like MTV, and it was always it was like Korn is really something that would come up as the heaviest.
Yeah.
And then I grew from there. One thing that I really appreciated was when like a wrestler would have metal music as their entrance music. That always stuck with me because it would pump you up for the crowd and I'm like, I like the way that music sounds and the pumped up feeling when this wrestler comes out. And then I would start listening and seeing like, did a real band make that music? And a lot of the times they did.
Yeah.
So that helped me get into to metal music a little bit more. My favorite metal band, I'll talk about a little bit more in depth later when we start going through our round of songs, is definitely Motorhead.
Yep.
That was always a big one for me. But yeah, I think it was the same path, but starting with Metallica.
Yeah, same for me. I was like I started learning guitar in like the 5th grade. You know, of course, in Nirvana, all that kind of stuff. But then, like, I remember Metallica, even the name sounded like metal.
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
cool
like,
as hell,
you know,
yeah.
you heard, like, I remember seeing the music video of Enter Sandman. You know, that 18-wheeler plowing through some kid's like bedroom. You know, and just that riff. I mean, that was it. And then after that, I started to learn about like, especially with my older brother and his friends. You hear like, you know, Pantera. And
Yeah.
start
Yeah,
hearing
right,
about,
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
Megadeth and all
Pantera
that
for me
kind of-
too was also like when
know.
Far Beyond Driven came out, that riff in Unbroken, that
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's fucking insane. That's the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I think it's an underappreciated genre of music. It always, especially now.
Yeah. There's not too much like I feel there's not too many like big metal bands.
No, not
now.
new ones anyway.
Yeah, it's
the
all
old
the
ones
older
are still
bands.
going,
Yeah.
but then there's no new ones.
I always felt that metal music, like, is like almost like the horror film genre, where it's classic. It's never gonna be. It's like its own thing. It's never gonna get outdated. It's
Right.
like that classic. You're always
Right.
gonna have a metal, but just like you're always gonna have a horror movie come out
Yep.
every October. There's always gonna be that.
There's always going to be an audience.
Yep,
for
exactly.
that, yeah.
Bingo. Yep.
And
exactly.
the shows are just so much more fun at a metal show.
Oh yeah.
Like, look, I could appreciate and listen to plenty of other genres of music, but when you go to a metal show, it's like in your face. It's just so much different. Like, I went to a Slayer concert once, got punched in the ear. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt knows that story because I think I came into work one day and couldn't hear for like an entire day because I got just a Tyson right hook to the ear in the middle of a metal show.
Yeah.
It was just the best. It's the best atmosphere, the pit, all that.
Yeah.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
So before we talk about our favorite metal bands, now Matt, you are like a photographer of the metal bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, metal, hardcore, punk. I'll shoot whatever. If there's a show going on, I'll bring my camera and show. My camera's in my car right now. I could come in. A band could walk in here. I'm ready for a show at any time.
Yeah, and it's not.
No, my question is, well, how'd you get into photography? And then also, just for our audience who's listening, we're based in Long Island, New York. You know, so I don't know if you're a Long Island hardcore music, but I'm not sure if you went to L.A. maybe or
Yeah,
went
I
there,
mean,
that kind of stuff.
it's mostly Long Island shows. I've taken photos of shows in like Philadelphia and places like, but it's mostly Long Island based. But I started taking photos. The girl that I was dating at the time, this is probably 2016, 17, something like that. It was Black Friday, and we were just walking around Target, like just looking at people going crazy for shit. And they had one of those camera starter packs. It was like a Canon, whatever.
Yep.
And it was it was like $300, and it came with like 2 lenses and all this stuff. And at the time, we were just going a lot of places, and it was like, oh, it'd be nice to have a real camera instead of taking like an iPhone photo everywhere we go. So I bought the camera, and then one day I had it in my car. We were going to see our friend's band play, and my girlfriend was like, why don't you bring the camera inside? And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that. The worst photos you've ever seen in your life. They're all fucking terrible. I'll never show them to anyone ever. But that kind of got the ball rolling, and then I just started showing up with my camera every time because nobody was really doing that for a long time. There's like a big gap in Long Island hardcore shows where there's like no photographic evidence. It's like, did it even happen?
Yeah.
You know? So I kind of just started doing that in just a way to document everything, and it got me like excited to start going to shows again, because I used to be the guy like, I'll show up when my friend's band is playing or whatever. You know, now it's like I'm there when the show, before the first band starts, and I'm like in my little spot. I have like a designated area. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got started, and it just kind of kept rolling from there. And then I started with the zine because I just wanted something like physical instead of just like posting stuff on the internet all the time, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much how it started.
Right. And I like how you give yourself like a purpose, you know?
Yeah.
Now you're like a documentarian too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's,
yeah.
you know, if you're doing this since 2016, what are we, 7 years now? Whatever.
Yeah.
That's a nice timeline.
Yeah.
Especially Long Island scene, which I kind of want to get into because PJ and I used to be in a band, you know what I mean? And we weren't metal. You were like a perfect circle, that kind of vibe.
Okay, right on. Yeah.
But I mean, like, since, you know, I was in a band since I was like 6th grade on, you know, but like, you know, music has changed now, but Long Island was huge. I don't know if you're a musician or anything like that.
No, I don't want to say sang. I screamed in a band like 10 years ago. We were called Scowl, and now there's like a big band called Scowl that like they're on like Taco Bell commercials and shit like that.
Yeah.
And they played Madison Square Garden with Limp Bizkit. I was like, damn, that could have been us.
Right. Wow.
It never would have been us. We were whatever.
Limp Bizkit should open for you.
Yeah,
That's right.
Fucking A.
But like the Long Island music scene was a big deal, man. At one point, like I guess it was like also you had Nirvana that kind of ushered the way. Like garage bands was huge. You know, I remember as a kid, like 13, 14, like you could used to walk down the block and maybe you would hear drums playing. And now that's kind of gone now with with the garage band and those apps.
Yeah,
but,
now it's just a bunch of people like recording everything
which is
themselves.
sad because like you said, going to these shows is special. Like I remember just going to VFW halls or churches used to have like these like local like punk shows and someone's mom with big cupcakes.
We're like right down the block from one of those churches that used to have the show that was in right in East Meadow. Was it the Cavalry?
Cavalry.
I know. They used to do shows at it's long gone now, but the I think it was the Jewish Center in Levittown.
Yes.
Yep, they did.
They used to do shows there. It was before my time, like just before I started going to shows. They used to do stuff there, but I heard from all the people that I knew from around here about going to shows there and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's still like open mic nights, of course, but like that was a special thing. Like, you know, I remember the downtown, which now is Croxley. But I saw great acts there. I saw James LeBrie from Dream Theater sing there. I saw all kinds of acts. I saw guy like a phenomenal guitar player played like Clapton. It's called Godfrey's Clapton. You know what I mean?
They're not metal, but I saw My Chemical Romance at the downtown.
Wow.
In like 2003, I want, or 2004, I want to say.
So the
with Taking Back Sunday.
Wow. So folks, just to give you an idea what the downtown was, just think about it just like a bar, bigger than a bar. It was like a hole in the wall bar. It's fairly big, but like to see them that close, that's pretty insane.
Yeah,
man.
and I remember they played. I think I saw them there 3 times, and each time I don't know why I remember this, but the singer was wearing like a leather motorcycle jacket, and it was a regular motorcycle jacket. The next time he came, it was missing a sleeve, so it just had one sleeve, and then the next time they came, there were no sleeves on it, so it then became a vest. So I don't know, like if it just fell apart or like
he got attacked in a pit somewhere.
Yeah, like I don't know what happened, but yeah, the downtown was. I saw a lot of shows there.
I remember Ace Frehley played at Crazy Donkey.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the Crazy Donkey, man. That was like my favorite club. I saw one of my favorite musicians of the band, Travis Meeks from Days of the New.
Okay,
yeah, I shook his hand, I got his autograph. So that was just, I don't know, it was like a special time. And I'm just kind of curious now. It's just your opinion. Like, how was, like, obviously you're with the metal scene, but how is the music scene on Long Island? Is there a scene on Long Island, or is there just maybe the city where you have the indies and all those kind of cats?
I mean, Long Island, I would say right now is better than it's been. I've been going to shows for over 20 years, and this is the best it's been in probably that entire time.
Right.
There's so many young kids starting bands. I say young, they're all probably like 30.
Right.
I'm 40, so
right.
So they're all kids to me, but like every show is packed out. Everybody's coming early to watch the bands. It's really just like, it's more kind of like just friends showing up to support their friends.
Of course, yeah. That's always it's always like that.
So,
if you're in a band,
it's awesome.
That's who you show up
like
to the shows.
For the longest time, like at hardcore shows, it was always like there would be a VFW hall, and then somebody would fuck it up.
Right.
And there would be no more shows at that place.
Yep.
So like for the longest time, we had no venues, but now we have Amityville Music Hall, which is like a staple of Long Island music at this point. They've been around for so long. And there's a few other places that are like cool with us having shows, and it's really awesome. It's really the best it's been in probably 20 years, 15, 20 years. It's awesome.
Looks like it's about time for Mike to come out of retirement.
I know. We're in indefinite hiatus. But my last question is because you just mentioned before we started the show, Matt was saying that you got to the Taking Back Sunday show in the backyard.
The backyard show.
So was that just a show, or were they filming a music video for a new song? I'm just curious.
My friend Chris Smith, whose house the show was at, he called me up one day, and he said there's been bands that have played back there a couple times, but never something on that level.
Of course, yeah.
So he calls me, and he's like, "Hey, do you have any photos of bands playing in the backyard where you could see the entire backyard?" I'm like, "Yeah, probably. I can send them to you, whatever." I'm like, "Why? What do you need them for?" He's like, "Oh, Taking Back Sunday's looking to shoot a music video, and I think they're gonna do it in my backyard." I was like, "Oh, all right, that's cool."
Yeah.
And it was really just like they were looking for a backyard to do it through a mutual friend, our friend Mike Dubin. He got them in touch with Chris, and then it all just kind of came together. But yeah, they were shooting a music video, and then it wasn't like announced that they were gonna play, but everybody kind of knew that they were gonna play like 5 or 6 songs, and they did, and it was a bunch of like 35, 40-year-old dudes,
right,
going nuts, like we're 18, and like we're all like jumping off this. There was like a big subwoofer for the PA system. We're all stage diving off that, and like it was awesome. It was really cool. A lot of people got kind of bummed out about it because they didn't know about it, like they weren't.
Right.
So, but it was really, really cool.
It had to be awesome to just be like that close in a backyard, part of the music video.
It's
Yeah,
just
and
like
it's
old
gotta be
school, man.
awesome.
Just
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
like so Long Island to be in a backyard,
just
playing a
playing
show. I mean, that's
and then like for it to take off the way it did, like seeing like Barstool Sports posting
I
the
saw
Taking
that.
Back Sunday bit. I'm like, oh, I'm on Barstool Sports. This is fucking
right.
weird. But then it bummed me out at the same time because on one of those Instagram posts there was a comment from a girl, and I'm standing in the front with my camera like I usually am, and I have this wild long gray hair, and some girl commented like, that old man in the front is my hero, and I was like, fuck, man.
ouch.
And then she also commented, same person, like, it's like talking a lot of shit on me, like I don't even know you. She said, like, this guy was probably a teenager when the first record came out. And I was like, yeah, I was 18. I went to the record release show for Tell All Your Friends.
All right.
And it just made me feel really my age or older than my actual age. But
wow. That is awesome, though, to just be part of even getting them to play there. Because really, your photos got them to see what the yard looks like. You're a big part of getting it to happen. That's crazy.
And they wanted to see, like, video of people playing. And Dubin showed them a video that I took of my friend's band Innerlove playing there, and like they saw and they're like, oh, this is perfect. We gotta do it here. And it was really. I mean, we were there for probably like 9 hours just sitting there because they had to shoot the video over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
But it was a really cool experience, and I'm in the video for like a half a second. You see me kind of like stage dive in like slow mo, and you just you only know it's me because this goofy ass hair.
But
is
hey, that
flying.
works. So now
But,
you're identified. You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
Easily identifiable.
Yeah.
That's real. That is really awesome that you were
Wow,
like
man.
the
I
catalyst
got
to getting
chills
that.
just hearing that story. What a special moment. I'm glad you were. You're like the perfect. I'm glad you were there to experience that because obviously you appreciate that scene and being a photographer and a fan.
That's
and you're a fan of the band too. You've been there since you're an OG.
Yeah.
You know, you're there since opening and day one. You know, going to release parties. So you're not some.
I have their demo somewhere in like my CD book. I should sell it for like $500 or whatever it goes for now.
So that's
I know a great
special thing.
store. They specialize in comics, but they'll sell some music if you want to sell it at a really awesome store. It's in East Meadow. It's called Cool Kids Comics and Toys.
Oh.
Yeah, shout out. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. But well, since we kind of started talking about bands that we like anyway, and you said you were a fan of those, let's just jump into it and kind of talk about our favorite metal bands, and we'll let Matt go first. 'Cause he's our guest.
All right, so I mean, the obvious choice is Black Sabbath because that's like the start for all of it. But the first time I heard Black Sabbath, I was still young, so I didn't get it at the time. I don't want to say I didn't get it, but it was like I had heard Metallica, I'd heard Slayer, and stuff like that. So I heard like fast thrash metal and stuff, and then I heard Sabbath, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like slow. I don't know how. And then one day it just
clicked.
Yeah.
Just realized.
It's probably when I started smoking weed when I was like a teenager.
Right.
Makes everything sound
I was like,
better.
oh my god, I get it now.
Yeah.
Sweet Leaf.
Right.
Oh my god.
So when you think of Sabbath, who do you think of?
I mean, it's Ozzy, but I'll put the first Dio Sabbath record, Heaven and Hell, up against those first 5.
Yeah, I was going to say
records.
I'm such a huge Dio fan. He was going to be the person I started with. So, I mean, I love Dio. I think I like his voice better than Ozzy's.
Yeah, it's almost like two completely different bands.
It really
they
is.
got a little faster with Dio, but yeah, I mean, Heaven and Hell, even Mob Rules are both phenomenal.
Yep.
Phenomenal records. But yeah, Sabbath is probably the top for me because those first 5 records with Ozzy are just 5 perfect records,
They
front
really
to back. You can't.
Yeah.
It's hard to.
Oh yeah, they're pioneers. You know,
and
so
it's hard to pick something that's more important or, in my eyes, better than Sabbath.
Yeah.
No, that's a fair pick. And like I said, I was going to start off talking about Dio. I've seen Dio live a number of times with Heaven and Hell, mostly, and then with Dio, on his own. I didn't see him with Sabbath or anything like that. But the show that he puts on and the showmanship that he has is just next level. But that voice, his voice to me is like iconic metal.
Yeah.
And like you said, Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules are great. But just even when his work with Rainbow, is
right.
Rainbow in the Dark and all that is just great. I think he invented metal horns.
That's what
the
they
story,
say. Like
right?
he said, like his grandmother did it
But
to
she
him or
put the
something
horns
like
on
that.
because he's Italian.
Yeah.
Right.
She puts the horns on. I forget what you call it in Italian, but
I can't.
like,
I can't think of.
Yeah, but that's what she did, and then he was like, "That I'm going to use that," and that's the. I don't know if that's real or true, but that's always the stories.
I hope it is true.
Yeah, I mean, I'll That's
I'll
the
give it to
story
him.
I've always heard. I've never
Yeah.
heard anybody challenge that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'll give it to him. He deserves that place in metal history. I saw I think it was the Paramount, after he had died, the Paramount did they did like a hologram concert of Dio, and they had a live band in the back, but the hologram was the front man.
Right.
And now I'd seen Dio 4 or 5 times before then.
Right.
And I knew I could never see him again because he died, and I was bummed out because he's one of my favorites. And I went to the show, and there were times it did look pretty organic, and you're like, "Oh, that's really cool." But then you realize as you're watching it, the motions are just so repetitive. It's the same
Yeah.
same
like
fucking
on
bit.
loop. After
Yeah.
a while, I'm like, it's the same, and it didn't feel. I mean, obviously, it wasn't going to feel real, but it was kind of a letdown to know that like that's the last time I'm ever going to get a chance to experience Dio on a stage, and like.
Yeah, I'm sad I never got to see Dio with Heaven and Hell or solo or anything like that. But yeah, he's another one.
Yeah, But you, Mike?
Undeniable.
Just to piggyback off that real quick, let's say Sabbath and I feel like Led Zeppelin are kind of the pioneers of metal.
Right,
So you
yeah.
think of like, a whole lot of love. Just and
Yep.
those. I mean, I think Zeppelin came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
And like think about all the other bands that were around that time period. You know what I mean? Like, wow. I mean, like I try to think of myself in a time machine. Like, imagine you playing your Beatles record or your Stones record, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you hear like,
You hear Zeppelin?
or like
Your
just
Sabbath,
Iron Man at the beginning
yeah.
of that. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah,
Like,
and just hearing the story
wow.
about how
You know?
they even got that sound. Tony Iommi crushed his finger
Yeah.
working in a machine shop,
Yeah.
and he was left-handed, so he had to tune down so he could hold the strings down, and
Yep.
that's how,
right.
like, just by accident,
Yep,
they
yep.
created
It's
a
a- it's
genre
ama-
of music.
yeah.
It's incredible.
And,
I saw a documentary on Heaven and Hell, and I don't think it was Sabbath. I think it was specifically Heaven and Hell with Dio, and they talk about that whole thing with his finger, and I didn't know that. But when I heard that, I'm like, that's metal.
The hand of doom. There's like a photo of it, and
Yeah.
it's just like his.
The finger's like missing. It's
Yeah,
like,
he's missing like the top
tip
of
of
his
it,
index
yeah.
finger, I think, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yikes. Actually, I don't keep talking about Sabbath. There's the Rolling Stones have the Rolling Stones Circus, and Jethro Tull opens up the show, and Tommy Iommi is actually playing with Jethro Tull on it.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's called "Song for Jeffrey."
famously best metal performance at the Grammys, beating Metallica. Jethro Tull.
Yeah, a metal
Yeah.
act, yeah. So Jethro Tull, but for mine, I didn't put mine in any specific order. I just remember, I'm not really sure. Oh, my friend Raul, who was a big metalhead, he made me like a mix. It was called he made a mix for my brother on CD. It was called Rob's Hard On, and it was Fear Factory. And
Right, yeah.
I just remember hearing like Securitron from Obsolete, and I just remember hearing like I never heard double bass played like that guy. I think Raymond Herrera was his name.
Yeah.
I never heard anyone play double bass like what is it like? He plays his feet like his hands. Like he's doing drum rolls with his feet. I never heard that, so that was mind blowing. And I got a bunch of all their albums. Burton C. Bell, the singer, and Dino, the guitar player. I think he's the only member still in it, the original.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
But I saw them. I think it was called. The hell is it called? Name of the tour, Gigantour. Yeah. So it was Fear Factory, a couple other bands, Dream Theater, who I worship, and then Megadeth closed. But yeah, I always enjoy Fear Factory. Good music to like work out to. If you're into double bass,
Yeah,
you want
hell
to
yeah.
practice with that, do some paradiddles and all that other stuff. They're the band to go to. So, Matt, what's your next
All
favorite
right.
band?
So, second one is another like kind of gateway sort of band, I guess you could say, but still an undeniable band, Slayer.
Oh
Yep. I have
You
them on
know,
my list
like-
also.
It just hearing the stories of their I have a friend, my friend Ron, who's a Long Island hardcore metal legend in Long Island, New York City, everywhere. Ron Grimaldi. He used to tell me stories about going to see them in like 1984 with like Danzig opening and Danzig getting like shit thrown at him because Slayer fans were just ruthless.
Yeah,
And,
they still are.
Just that, like, just the lore of hearing and seeing videos of how insane those shows were, and just how fast that band was, and just how evil they sounded.
And loud. They are loud motherfuckers.
And and I remember, I think the first record I heard was Rain and Blood, you know, and just hearing that scream at the beginning of Angel of Death is just like, I still get like goosebumps just like thinking of that. And then just again, undeniable.
I had them on my list, and the 3 notes that I put were they're loud as fuck, Angel of Death, and Kerry King is a beast. That was what I wrote, and I've been to their shows a number of times, and I remember watching, I forget which show it was because I've seen them more than once, but there was a pit, and I'm up top, right? I'm just sitting in a seat. I was nowhere near the pit for this show. And I remember just seeing one sad, lonely guy, and he was in the middle of the pit. And then it was like everyone's attention turned to this poor soul and just collapsed in on this guy.
Oh, my God.
And like you could see it's like shit's about to go down. And it collapses in, and then you can't find this guy anymore, right? And then the pit's going on, and then it breaks up. And you just see like that guy is like on the floor. It looks like he went through a war. He's missing his shoes. His shoes are gone. His clothes are ripped. He's just like you're like, they're going to bring a stretcher out for this guy? He looks dead. And the only thing I remember, I was close enough to hear it, he just gets up and he's like, Slayer! And that was like, that's it.
It's like a battle cry.
It's like a battle cry. It was amazing. Their shows are something else. I've seen them with the Big Four. I've seen them headline shows. They're just so loud and great. And I think to the same vein, like where you can't have a conversation about metal, we touched on before, Metallica.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've seen them a number of times. Always put on a good show. They have to be the biggest metal band with the most mainstream success.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a doubt. Bigger than Sabbath or anybody, without a doubt.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, they play football stadiums.
Yeah.
Still, to this day, like, in my opinion, they haven't put out a good record in fucking 30 years.
Their
but
last one was good. I
I like
like
this
the last
latest
didn't
one's
listen
good.
to it.
That's
Last
good.
one was good.
No,
Is
it's solid.
I
It is
always
solid.
hear like a couple songs, and I'm like, oh, it's that. And then I like listen to the record, or I listen to the full song. It's like, the song's like 4 minutes too long, guys. You should have.
You know, I agree with that.
trim
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
the fat on it.
They're always been,
But
that's like their
live-
trademark.
Live, they know what they're. It's like, we're gonna stick to the class. We'll throw a new song.
Yeah,
in,
no, they
or
do a
whatever,
great
but
live
we're gonna
show.
stick to
Yeah.
what everybody wants to hear.
We're playing Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know what
do
they're
it-
doing
Once
live.
you get to that status, you have to play the hits.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, yeah,
But
you can't-
I saw them recently at MetLife, and they were
Oh
great.
yeah, I tried to get
Show
tickets to
one.
work, and I
Didn't
got
happen,
denied.
huh?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've seen them with the Big Four. I've seen them at the Coliseum. I've seen them in Albany. I've seen them all over the place, and they put on a great live show. I like them so much that they're my wedding song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we picked Nothing Else Matters as
right
our
on.
wedding
Hell
song.
yeah.
I just think they're great live. They have a great library of songs, especially the older ones. And the one thing that sort of bugs me now, and I think we might have spoken about it in the
yeah,
past,
I know
is
you're
like,
gonna go with this.
when I listen to their music, I want them to be angry.
Yeah.
But when you go to their shows, they're just so rich that they're not angry anymore. And they're starting off the shows about just like how we're all part of the same Metallica family and everyone's welcome here. I'm like, can you just hate somebody a little
Yeah.
bit?
Right.
You had a record called "Kill 'Em All." Why don't
Right.
you kill 'em all?
Why don't you kill them all?
Like,
But they do put on a great live show. I mean, they still sound the same, but it's like the intent of anger isn't there. I always like Before Sad But True when they do the whole, do you want heavy? Metallica gives you heavy, and then they go into it. I always love that. I think they're probably my top 2 or 3 favorite bands of all time.
Yeah.
they're also responsible for the greatest music documentary of all time, Some Kind of Monster.
That is great.
Which is, it's unbelievable. It's like unironically the best
Right.
music doc ever.
right.
It's such a train wreck watching it, and it's so unintentionally hilarious that I will put that up against any music documentary also.
They had that other movie that came out, God, it must have been over 10 years ago now. They did Through the Never?
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't think I ever saw that.
It was pretty good. It was like just a...
It was like a film inspired by their music or something like that,
it
right?
was like a concert. Like they do a concert in there, But then they like weave in this weird storyline of someone trying to get to the concert, and it was just like guys getting like hit by a car or something like that during the music. I don't know. It was something.
I totally forgot about that.
But it was good. It was. I think I saw it in like IMAX, and it was entertaining to watch. Like I can hear their music. That's all I really want to do.
Yeah.
Anyway. I don't need a storyline in a
Right,
Metallica movie.
Yeah.
But it was really good.
I was gonna say just with Metallica, I always like about their albums how like sometimes they start with like an acoustic guitar, like they give like a like Battery, yeah. So, you know, I think Ride the Lightning. I'm trying to think of my memory, but I always enjoyed stuff like that, or like the reverse of you know, Blackened.
Yeah.
where they played backwards.
Yeah.
I was always like, oh wow, like I always think a story how you open your album is very important. You know, kind of sets the rest of the tone. I always talk about tone, but I always enjoy that from them. But for me, guys, we're going across the pond. We're going to Sweden. One of my favorite metal bands is Soilwork.
Okay.
I think when MTV played music videos, it was like late at night, and I remember just watching it, and I remember this song came on. It was called As We Speak. Check it out, folks. And I was like, oh my God, I love this, because I love metal vocals, but I get very turned off where it's too much like throat singing, like just like like that. I start to just kind of check out, you know. But he has that clean, you know, singing, you know, I guess like, you know, Pantera too, because, you know, Phil can actually sing really quite well, quite beautifully, really.
Cemetery Gates.
Yeah. But yeah, I just love this band. You know, a lot of, you know, just great musicians, you know, get some of the Dream Theater, you know, John Petrucci type, you know, guitar playing. I love to sing, you know, a little sprinkling some keyboards there, some synths. But yeah, I always want to see them live. They've been here maybe a few times, but I never got a chance to see them, you know. I think their last album, I could be wrong, I think it was called Stabbing the Drama. But yeah, I really like their albums. Natural Born Chaos is really good. Predator's Portrait's really good. Still Bad Suicide really good. So I like the boys from Sweden. So
Right on. Hell yeah.
my accent. And check out Ola England. He's a YouTuber. He's in a band called The Feared, and I can't think of the other one. But he has his own YouTube channel. He has his own guitar now, and he's really funny. So if you're into metal music, he has like Sundays with Ola, where he tells like metal news, and he's very funny. So anyway, he's from Sweden too, so that's why I brought that up. So anyway.
So next band is a band from New Orleans, Louisiana. A band called I Hate God, which is probably the coolest fucking band name of all. EYE, Hate God, like that's so fucking cool. And I remember the first time I heard them, I was probably like 15 or something like that, and I was on the internet on some message board, and it was I don't know why I distinctly remember this. It was a thread called like the heaviest song you've ever heard, and somebody was like Anxiety Hangover by I Hate God, and I was like, that just sounds so fucking cool. And it's they're called sludge metal. That's the genre of music, and nothing fits that sound more. They're a band that uses feedback as an instrument. Like there's never silence at an I Hate God show or anything. It's just feedback. And then Jimmy Bower, their guitarist, only 4 strings on his guitar, but just plays these bluesy, heavy riffs. And then the singer is screaming about doing heroin and like, whatever else, you know. And just they have an album called Dope Sick, which in my opinion is like the Bible of like sludge metal. And nobody does it better than that band. I always say like there's all these bands that play that genre of music. And it's like, why even bother? Because I Hate God perfected it. You're never going to do it better than them. But yeah, if you've never heard I Hate God, listen to Take Is Needed for Pain or Dope Sick and go from there. 2 of my favorite records of all time.
Yeah, I gotta check. I heard of them. I don't really know their stuff, but I'll check it out.
Jimmy Bower, their guitarist, he plays drums in Down with Phil. And Kirk from Crowbar. It's all New Orleans dudes. But yeah, he plays drums in that, and I often wonder how different they would sound if he played guitar in that band. So, yeah.
Interesting.
I Hate God. Check him out.
Cool. Mr. PJ.
I can't have a metal episode and not talk about my favorite band of all time. So, Motorhead. I've seen them a couple of times. I remember I saw them one of their last shows, I think in New York, very close to when he died. And I knew watching that show that I'm like, something's wrong. He doesn't sound like himself. And then right after that is when he... when
that was at Jones Beach, right?
It was Jones Beach.
That was, I think, right around like my birthday, whatever year that was, and I was like, I'll see him next time.
And then there was
and
no
then there
next
was
time.
So I never got to see Motorhead. And to this day, I'm upset about that.
Yeah. his voice is so instantly recognizable. You cannot copy it. There's no one else that could be a copycat.
You
for
could
Lemmy.
try, but you'll never
do it.
Never do that.
The music is just perfect. The start of the show, we are Motorhead and we play rock and fucking roll.
Yeah.
It's just such a metal way to start a show. But I mean, the Ace of Spades is probably my favorite song of all time. I think he hated playing it because so many people wanted to hear it, but you could not want to hear it because it's so good. His style of music just transcended into pop culture, into wrestling with Triple H doing his music. Like the guy
has so much attitude. That's why.
So much.
Like you say, like that distinct voice. You can't. Like a guy like him's not gonna win like American Idol.
Right.
Like, no one can do him. Like that's.
Yeah,
that's,
I could do it for like 4 seconds, and I'm like,
my throat hurts. Yeah, I can't
but
talk
it's
the
just
rest
like
of the week.
you can just feel the attitude. You know when you hear that song, that guy's gonna kick your teeth in. You know what I mean? It's
loud, it's fast.
You can just feel it, man.
Yeah.
And also for how loud and heavy they were for being a 3-piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it's insane.
Yes.
How.
Yes.
And they were like the Ramones, where it's like every song is kind of the same song, just like kind of turned sideways or whatever. But they all.
They were all so rock.
Rule.
They're all just.
They're all so good.
I've seen videos and stuff of them perform when they were younger, and God, you just wish you were born earlier so that you could have been there in the prime and not towards the end.
Yeah.
Because even the first time I saw them was at the beach. Also, I forget who else they were playing with. Heaven and Hell.
Okay.
It was It was actually a good lineup. It was Testament.
Okay.
Motorhead. Heaven and Hell, and then I think Priest closed.
Oh wow,
that was a good lineup.
Yeah, that's fucking
awesome. That's a great lineup. And that whole show, every one of those bands could be on this list. That's how good they are. And I'm pretty sure Testament opened, and I was like, I'm a big Testament fan, and I'm like, man, if there was no Metallica, Testament would be huge. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, I can see them opening, and then Motorhead came on second, and as big a fan as I am of Dio, I'm like, Motorhead should be on third. They shouldn't go.
Right, yeah.
That's just how it needs to be.
Yeah, they're fucking Motorhead.
Yeah, Motorhead should have been on third. They didn't get the respect. They weren't mainstream enough to be a big arena touring band.
Yeah.
But if you got to see them, you had a great time at the show.
Yeah. I was gonna say, with Motorhead, just you're saying like they're like a power, trio. You know, I think of power trios. I think of like Rush, not really metal, but I'm talking about just power trio.
Right.
Green Day,
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then I think they're a 4-piece, right? AC/DC. But you're saying in terms of like the songwriting of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. But as a power trio, Motorhead is crazy, man. If I just had to say that.
Yeah, it's insane how loud and heavy they were for being 3 guys, not having a second guitar player.
Yeah.
And just and his bass tone was so just heavy.
Yep.
And it was metal, it was punk, it was everything.
Yep.
And what's crazy too is like the energy when you see them live is just through the roof, but they don't move.
Right.
They don't. There's no showmanship.
I think people just
didn't need it. You just needed the music from them.
Right.
The music.
I think the way
itself.
they look, and I think some people just have like a vibe or an essence. Yep. I think that's just how it is.
And he had the mic like kind of turned it was up a little too high, and he sang it like underneath it.
Yeah.
It just looked so fucking. It looked so cool.
Had so much personality. Yeah. I think my next pick is actually somewhat offbeat. It's actually a drummer's, I think, what do you call that? I don't know if it's a side project, but I didn't see the movie. It's Dream Widow, which is Dave Grohl's side project.
Oh, okay.
That album is awesome.
I forgot to check that. I saw like crazy reviews about it, and then I just forgot about it.
It's excellent. Like I didn't. It was probably like a week before Taylor Hawkins passed away, but I was just curious about it because I saw one of his songs on YouTube. I was like, this is actually really good. I mean, yes, you hear the Foo Fighters essence in there. You know what I mean? But like, it's a great straight up metal album. Like, I mean, there's no crazy double bass or anything, but I don't know if he plays all the instruments on it because some of the stuff I'm like, I don't know, he could play guitar like that, or even I know he plays drums on certain songs probably because I could tell by the way. But it's great. I don't know what else to say, folks. If you like the Foo Fighters, or if you just like want to hear a good metal album, it's very good from front. You can hear Pantera in there, Metallica, Judas Priest, like everything's in there. Like, it's really good. His voice sounds great on it. He does good screams. It's like almost like reinvented himself. Then you I know they had the new album come out and tribute to, which almost no disrespect towards Taylor's mother. That's awful what happened, but you could tell, like, I feel like, not that was inspired, you know, but that Dream Widow album sounds like fresh. Like, it sounds like they had a lot of fun making that. Every song is badass, balls, just tone, like reminds me of like certain songs like Floods, you know, by Pantera, like, you know, like kind of like, you know, feedbacks. And I really recommend that album. It's good, trust me. It's good. The first song is like, The Great Southern Treadkill, you know, Pantera, like kind of starts like, you know what I mean?
Hell
And just
yeah.
after that is just.
He also did a record in like the early 2000s, the Probot, I think it was
Yeah.
called, where he had a bunch of like, I think Lemmy was on it. He had a bunch of metal singers like
And
do vocals, and I think he played everything on that record, if
and
I'm not
this
mistaken.
album, I'm not sure. I tried Googling it. Maybe you guys can find it. Maybe the folks at home can find out for us. Because I don't. It doesn't. I tried. I don't. It doesn't say. It just says his metal thing for Studio 666. That was the movie.
Right.
But it didn't say who played on it. I'm like, who played on this? Because like, I'm like, I don't know if he could play guitar like that. No, he's a great guitar player for what he does, but I don't know if he could. You know, guys, people are shredding on there. I'm like, what the hell is this? You know, like, so, and it's really good. Dream Widow, check it out. It's really good.
All right. So my next band, another like thrash band, a band that kind of blurred the lines of like punk and hardcore and thrash, Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That first Suicidal record, which I think they're touring on this year. I think it's the 40th anniversary of that record. It's so fast. There's few things I love more than just fast. Play it fast, shred your fucking face off, and that's Suicidal to me. And also the name Suicidal Tendencies. And
Great name for a band.
And like the first time I saw a picture of them, it's dudes wearing flannel shirts buttoned all the way up to the top, long hair, bandanas, flat, you know, hats flipped up, Suicidal on the bill. And it's just like, these guys look so fucking cool.
Yep.
And then hearing stories about that scene and how they were all like legit, like gangster motherfuckers.
Yep.
It really kind of brought it all together and just made them seem so cool to me. And when people talk about the big four of thrash, it's, you know, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax. I don't really care about
Anthrax?
Megadeth. Anthrax is
I don't like
fine
Megadeth or Anthrax.
Yeah,
But
I don't know why they're part of the
I
big
never
four.
was impressed by them. They're,
I feel like Megadeth maybe just because Dave Mustaine was in Metallica,
Yeah,
so
I
it's
think
that's
that,
the
I
reason.
think,
whatever.
yeah, I think that gives them
But
some.
for me, Suicidal would be in my big four,
Yeah.
along with Metallica and Slayer, and then I don't know, fourth maybe Sepultura or something like that. But yeah, Suicidal, fantastic band.
The next band that I'm talking about, I'm not a huge fan of them because I never listened to them that much. I actually just saw them live at Jones Beach again a couple of weeks ago, and maybe one of the best female metal voices, Ginger. I don't know if you ever heard them.
No.
I couldn't name a song, which is like I should have done more research, but this girl has such a great metal voice, and she's kind of hot, but she has such a great metal voice, and I just wanted to mention that because I don't think there's many big female metal bands. It's more of a male-dominated musical genre. But if you get a band with a female metal band with a female lead singer that can hang in there with these very deep male-dominated genre, I'd say good for them. And this girl is super metal and just sounds great. So like I said, there's not much I have to talk about, but I only saw them live for the first time. They opened for Disturbed.
Okay.
And I know Mike doesn't like Disturbed. I don't dislike them. I wouldn't put them on my list of best
I have
metal
no
bands.
feeling one way or the other.
Right.
About
I don't
that.
hate them. I
yeah.
just don't like them.
You know what I think? The singer just seems like a fucking dork.
He is a dork.
I saw
He
them.
just seems like a
I
fucking
saw
tool.
them. I saw them like years ago. It's called the Big Day Off. So it was Ozfest.
Okay,
but
yeah. I remember
Ozzy
that.
had
Yeah.
off. So it was a Big Day Off. So
Yeah.
Mudvayne opened.
Okay.
Actually, I have them on my lightning round. I love Mudvayne. First album's sensational. But then Disturbed came out. You know. But all I remember was this. You're like, oh, Disturbed. At that time, it was into Stupefy, all that shit.
Right.
But I remember like, the band came out, but the singer, I think his name's Damien. I think.
Something like
And,
that.
like-
I think David
Yeah, that's
Draymond
it. That's it.
is his name, right?
So like,
Something like that.
they had like this. They rolled out this cage, right? It had like a tarp on it. I'm like, oh, you know, I don't know. They're like, you know, they opened up with
Right.
I don't know what it was, you know, and they pull off the curtain off this cage, and he's in it, right? I don't know about you. Wouldn't you like want to like kick the door out, you know, and be like, ooh,
Yeah,
or
right,
whatever?
yeah.
He just opened it
Very gently.
and then he closed it. It was like if you're like backyard gate. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
What were you
What are you
raised in a
doing?
barn?
Yeah.
You don't close doors?
It was just because and then just comparing it to like Mudvayne, where like the singer, I can't think of his name right now, but he came out with a baseball bat. He's hitting the speakers. He's hitting the microphones. That's how he came out to. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
But,
he doesn't come across as very metal at all.
No,
But
I'm sure
those-
very nice guy and all
But
that
the
crap.
old
but-
Disturbed album, like that first one or whatever, where you had Stupefy or I
Yeah.
don't know, they have a special place for me because that was at a time when there was no new metal coming out.
Right.
And Disturbed came out and he was
Yeah,
screaming
yeah.
again. But I wouldn't put them on my top list. I just really appreciated that the lead singer's voice of Ginger. I thought she sounds super metal. Give them a listen because she really sounds metal, and good for her.
Way to go.
Way to go.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is actually an instrumental band. They were like a side project. They're called Blotted Science.
Okay.
It's like I guess it's a super group. So you have I don't know. It's one half of the brothers. I don't know how to pronounce their last name. So I know there's brothers Rob and Ron. Ron J. Anyway, they're in a band called Spastic Inc., which is this other instrumental crazy band where like one of their songs went, I guess, viral back in the day. Where like they wrote to like Bambi.
Okay.
And like when you watch Bambi, you watch it on mute and play that, it'll match with the scenes. Like it's like very technical band. Anyway, I think the bass player for Cannibal Corpse is in Blood Science.
Hell
Some
yeah.
other crazy drummers in this band, but like super heavy, like very technical. It's not like Meshuggah heavy where like it's like, oh my god, I can't understand this time mixture.
Right, yeah.
They're doing that too in here, but it's a little bit more melodic and everything. And I think the last song on this album, and all the songs in this thing is cool, like laser lobotomy, all these medical terms,
Yeah.
these excruciating things. And I remember the last song is like they play it forwards, and then they play it backwards the second half. So
That's
it's
cool.
very
Wow.
interesting. But I want to tell you guys a quick story about that band. So I used to work at BJ's Wholesale Club. I used to work in the bakery department by myself.
We used to work there together.
Yes.
That might have been when I wasn't in the bakery. I might have been doing something else.
So I
at
used to
that
work
time.
2 to 10 on Saturdays. I used to call even though I used to dread it because I used to be by myself for 8 hours. But I used to play CDs before like iPods and stuff really started to get more advanced or whatever. So anyway, I remember I used to play and I blasted, but loud enough so I can hear it obviously. But I remember this is instrumental, folks. So I remember I was playing it. Someone used to be writing happy birthday cakes, be a cake decorator.
Yep.
So I remember I was just this old battle axe came in and she wanted something written on it. Happy birthday to her, Sandy. I'm like, so I'm writing on it. I give it back. She's like, oh, I don't know how you can handle all that screaming. And I says, oh my God, that's funny. I'm like, it's actually instrumental. There is no screaming. But that's how heavy that album is.
Wow.
It's so heavy, it sounds like someone could be screaming on it. But I guess she was just, jumping, in your head. But yeah, it's really good. So if you're into like technical, heavy shit, Blotted Science, and if you're into weird crap.
It's a cool name too.
Yeah.
You know what I used to hate about that BJ's Bakery?
What?
Since you mentioned it, I used to hate having to set up the muffins.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't that such a pain in the ass? Like you had to put the top. Here's an inside look at these muffins that you like from BJ's. By the way, these aren't like fresh baked muffins. No one's making batter. They would ship these things to us frozen in this giant box.
They call them pucks.
Yeah,
they look like hockey
they look like
pucks,
hockey
and they're
pucks.
already in like
They're in like the paper.
Yeah, so you would just have it
Put them
baked.
on a pan.
Yep. Yeah.
But I used to hate doing it because it was such a pain in the ass. And then all the toppings, like if you got like everyone like that crumble topping muffin.
Yeah, like
you'd have
coffee
to,
cake. Yeah.
Yeah, the coffee cake. We'd have to like put that on top, and you'd have to set it up the night before. You'd have to set up the muffins and the bagels the night before because then whoever would start during the day would pop them in the oven. And I used to just hate doing it so much. I mean, and if you think that you're getting fresh baked anything from that bakery, folks, it's coming in frozen, and like we're not even defrosting it. We're, like there's nothing
Just
real.
defrosting on the shelf.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was doing. And then they made you both have seen my handwriting. It's terrible.
Right.
Imagine having me write happy birthday to you on a cake. I mean, I can't spell and I can't write. So what were you doing? Like there was no interview process for this. I used to work on the floor doing stock, and I would drive the forklift every so often.
Yeah.
And then they ran out of people in the bakery, and they were like, "You work in the bakery now?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "I do."
Yeah, they shipped us off to the.
Yeah,
that was
they
the
shipped-
same way. We were on the floor, and they shipped
Yeah,
us
they
there.
shipped us off to because it used to be like me, you, and Will.
Yep.
And we would work on the floor, and we would handle the stock, and it was great. And then they were like, "We're out of people in the bakery, so you're gonna work there now." And at the time, I think our other friend was like the supervisor of the bakery. Were you there when Ruben was there?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I just wouldn't do any work in the bakery. I hated it so much. I didn't want to be there.
I unfortunately worked there for like 9 years.
Yeah, you worked there longer than I did.
So, but I was trying to make I got my master's, but I also was trying to get my band to be, I was always planning, will always be my band. But
just an inside look at BJ's. Nothing you're buying is fresh, folks.
It's fake.
It's all fake and it's all frozen.
Fake.
And anything that
The
looks
complete
like
opposite of a BJ. That's it.
A little bit naughty, that.
Everything you don't want.
the only thing I used to do there was if there was a cake I really wanted to eat, I would drop it on the floor with the in the package with the plastic side down so it would mess up the cake so that I couldn't sell it, and I would requisition it and I would make it the free sample so I could eat the cake.
All right, hey.
That's what that's what I used to do in the BJ's bakery.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah. Anyway, back to metal, but I wanted to give an inside look at Berkeley and Jensen.
Dude, yeah. Do we want to do a lightning round?
I never figured out that was. I knew that was their brand, and it never occurred to me that that's B and
That's
Yep.
the B and the
the
J.
B and the J.
Berkeley.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You want to do like a lightning round, PJ?
Yeah, we could start the lightning round.
All right,
sure.
cool. So, the next bit, it's I don't want to say they're a newer band because they've probably been around for over 20 years at this point, but they're a band called Midnight. They're from Cleveland, Ohio, and if you're into Motorhead, Venom, that style of like speed, and all their songs are about either Satan, leather, or like sex.
All right.
No, it's
And they
the three
wear,
best
I'm
things there
sold.
are.
I'm sold.
and the band, they're actually playing tonight in Brooklyn. I might go,
Oh.
but we'll see. But they, on stage, they wear like leather motorcycle jackets, and they wear those masks that look like they look like hoods, and then like you just don't. It's like a black.
Oh yeah,
Right,
yeah.
And they wear those on stage, and they have like girls dancing, and they're like blowing fire and shit. It's
Right.
like a real like spectacle.
Yeah,
But if you've never heard them, they have a record called Satanic Royalty, and it's just, if you like Motorhead, if you like Venom, all that old school like new wave of British heavy metal kind of stuff, check out Midnight. Super rad band.
I just think real quick, if I'm going to name just a couple of off the top of my head lightning round bands, is Queen's Reich
Yep.
or Lamb of God. I think
Yep.
is another band.
Yep.
That's
That's like one of the few bands that's like a big metal band, like a newer
Yeah.
band, even though they've been around for so long.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they're like one of the only bands that's newer than the Metallicas and the that can play like
Yep.
the big venues
Yeah.
and stuff like that. They're like the kind of like the torchbearers for mainstream metal, I guess.
Hatebreed's another one that I used
Yep.
to listen to. I don't know if they've had anything new come out. I haven't listened to them forever, but I remember some of those. Like,
Jamie Josta.
Yeah.
He had like his own like a TV show at one
Yeah.
point, like introducing
He
metal
was
bands.
he was the host of Headbangers Ball.
Headbangers
Yeah.
Ball,
in
Yeah.
the early 2000s. I got my nose broken at a Hatebreed show.
Really?
When I was 18, they played the West Babylon American Legion, and it was the last 15 seconds of the last song. I caught a stray fist right across my, and I bled all over that fucking place. It was the last show they had there. There were just fights and people just beating the shit out of each other for the entire show.
Right.
It's the sign of a good show.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the last two that I would have on my like lightning round list would just be, wow, I just had a brain fart because I didn't write it down. Whoa, Napalm Death.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Gojira would be on there. Slipknot. Now that we're thinking
Yep,
about it,
yep.
And I can't believe we really didn't have that much of a conversation about Pantera.
I know. Well, I actually have them on my lightning round. Look, Pantera's iconic Metallica. I think they're in my big four of
Right,
those
yeah.
metal bands.
Yeah.
I think they're groove metal. I think they're really more of a blues metal, really.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're just fucking. I don't know what else to say about Pantera. I saw them open for Metallica recently. I obviously the brothers have passed away, but just their music, hearing it live, was really
Yeah.
special. So that's all I can say. I mean, I don't know. They're amazing.
They really are,
I don't know
yeah.
what else to say. They're the best. Also put on here, Tool, if you call them, with like prog metal. Maybe
They
put
kind of
on-
like transcend the metal
Yes.
genre, but it's
Yep.
it's all rooted
Yep.
in that.
I talked about Meshuggah, you know what I mean? Judas Priest. I put Static X as well. You were talking about.
That band's weird now. They have, because I know he's dead.
Yes,
and now they have a guy who is like he's supposed to be like a
zombie
cyborg version or some shit like that.
I think it's a singer of the band.
Pretty awesome.
I like this band. I like a few of their songs. They're called Dope. I think he's a singer. Yeah, and he sounds great. And I don't know if he actually plays guitar, because I've seen videos of the new, I could call it the new Static X, whatever. But he wears gloves. I'm like, how the hell does this guy play guitar with gloves on?
It's probably like
maybe
somebody
just miming
off stage or some shit.
Miming it. Yeah, but anyway, he sounds great. But I like Static X a lot. Because we were talking about Disturbed before. I gravitated more towards Static X. And that first album is sick by
it is.
Wisconsin Death Trip. Awesome. Talking about female singers. I saw this band actually here in Levittown. It was at this place called Medicine. They were called the Birthday Massacre. Where it's kind of like melodic.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm trying to describe them. Kind of like, she has a very beautiful voice, but they're like heavy. Certain songs are just really heavy. She has like that really death scream, but it's not like death metal. It's very melodic, but I would check them out. And then, this might be a little off, but I just feel like these bands have like somewhat of the metal attitude, and some of their songs do have that metal essence. It's from the grunge era. I think Alice in Chains,
For sure.
Soundgarden,
Yeah.
And then Nirvana, honestly, you know what I mean? Like, and when people ask me, like, oh, what's like the heaviest album you ever heard? I always say Inurido. Like, that's the way it's sonically, the way it's recorded, and I just feel like the tone of that album, and I don't know. I think that's one of the heaviest of all time, quite honestly, is Inurido. I know it's not the metal, but I don't know, maybe it just has like the spirit of metal in it. It's just heavy, dark, and I love Kurt's vocals, man. I could definitely see Kurt, head in a metal band.
Yeah, for
sure. He loved all those bands anyway, Sabbath and Metallica.
Yeah.
So,
I'll just rattle off a couple other ones
yeah,
that
man.
I just thought of right now.
Yeah, take us home, dude. Take us home. Yeah.
So back to like the thrash metal, they were a newer band, and unfortunately they're not around anymore because their singer passed away. Power Trip from Texas. I think if Riley, who passed away, I think like 2 years ago at this point, or almost 3 years ago, if he was still alive, they would be like on the Lamb of God level of, because they were well on their way to doing that when he passed. But just ripping riffs hard, like mosh parts. His vocals are unbelievable, and yeah, it sucks that band's not around anymore. But they put out 2 full lengths and a couple EPs, so check them out if you haven't. And then another band from Texas who another member passed away, so they're not around anymore, called Iron Age. They started as kind of more like a hardcore with thrash influence, and then their second record they just went full metal, and it's called The Sleeping Eye, and the band just fucking rules, and it sucks that they're not around anymore either. The singer's now in a band called Eternal Champion, where it's like fantasy metal, and he sings like with the high register vocals and stuff. But yeah, those 2 I would highly recommend checking out if you haven't.
Another band that was metal that I loved, that was really good, where they made I think 1 album, maybe 2, and then the guy died, was Snot.
Yeah,
Snot was great.
I haven't listened to that record in forever. But I loved it when I was like 16 or whatever the hell it came out.
I used to love it. I think did they have a live album? Was it Snot and then Snot Alive or something like that?
So I think that they put out that record, and then they put out like that tribute record that I think had like one new well, I remember they had a song on the Strangeland soundtrack, the Dee Snider movie. He like made like a, I don't know if it was a horror movie or just like a weirdo movie. But they had a song on that along with some other bands that I can't remember, but I specifically remember that they had like an unreleased song on that soundtrack.
Their song is called My Balls, and it just starts off with them screaming, "My balls, your chin." It's so good, and what a shame that he died. And I think it was a tragic way. Didn't he die in a car accident?
It was like a car accident, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because I think the album cover was his dog with a tennis ball in his mouth, and I think he died in a car accident. I think it was him and his dog died together, which is just...
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. It's almost sad that no disrespect to him, but
it's the service with the
it's
dog.
More sad that the dog died.
Yeah, I'm with you. So before we end this episode, Matt, you got anything you want to promote? Instagram pages, Facebook? You have a show coming up? Anything like that?
So Instagram, it's Windows Down Zine on Instagram. I have so my birthday is, this is airing on the 14th, right? My birthday,
whatever Thursday is.
yeah, my birthday is the day after this airs. So the week after, on September the 22nd at Amityville Music Hall, I got a bunch of my friends' bands together. They're going to play a show just to have fun. So come out. It's the Backup Plan, who haven't played in like 7 or 8 years. My friends in Take My Chances, they're doing a special tribute set for their old band called Heads vs. Breakers. And then there's a bunch of 3 or 4 current bands, a band called Carcosa, who are just super heavy, hardcore, metallic hardcore. A band called Private Mind, Heavy Hex, and Effective Relief. So yeah, if you're around, come through.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sounds lovely. Well, Matt, you were sensational. You were great.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Had a great time.
Folks, you know the deal. Same time, same table.
Have a good one. Hey kids, thanks for listening to our favorite metal bands episode with my friend Matt. He'll be back with us again next week because he was such a great guest, and we'll be talking about our favorite wrestling moments of WWE, ECW, WCW, and AEW. Hope to see you there. Have a good one. Make good choices.
Boys and girls, lunchtime is over. Please visit PJ and Mike's website, coolkidslunchtable.podbean.com, for more information. Follow the boys on all social media apps. Just search Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast. Now get to class before you get detention.